Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today, September 9th, 2025, for a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in an order other than as shown on this agenda. At this meeting, there may be discussion on the items and subjects listed as follow. Item number 1, call the meeting to order. I have done so at 5:30 p.m. Item number 2, moment of silence. Thank you. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, public comments. I'm going to play a short video and then I will call those that have signed up. Thank you.
Here are the public comment procedures. Number 1, individuals who wish to participate during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment shall sign up at McAllenisd.org at least 1 hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Number 2, an individual's comments to the board shall not exceed 2 minutes per meeting. Number 3, the board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. Thank you.
Información a personas para comentarios públicos. Número 1. Las personas que deseen participar durante la parte de la reunión designada por comentarios públicos deberán registrarse en McAllenisd.org al menos 1 hora antes del inicio de la reunión programada. Número 2. Los comentarios de un individuo a la Junta no excederán de 2 minutos por reunión. Y por último, número 3. La Junta no tolerará la perturbación de la reunión por parte de los miembros del público asistente. Gracias.
All right. Our first speaker tonight is Miss Natalie Vidal.
Here,
Ms. Vidal, you'll have 2 uninterrupted minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, trustees. I request McAllen ISD create a School Library Advisory Council, a SLAC, or committee to oversee book removals and request transparency regarding removed books and those under review for removal. It's my understanding many books have been removed prematurely from our libraries, despite a single one ever being formally challenged by parents. While we must follow the law, SB 13 makes it clear that community values should guide these decisions, yet we have not sought the input of the people it serves. SB 13 is intended to rid public school libraries of literature deemed to be pervasively vulgar or profane by community standards. But we removed books before those standards have even been established. In fact, instead of consulting parents, we have instead sought the assistance of AI to help establish what is profane or vulgar. As a result, classics such as The Handmaid's Tale have already been removed, and I do not believe parents in our community consider canonical literature to be profane, vulgar, or harmful. The bill also states district must adopt a process for parents to challenge books. Why are we not following these guidelines? If a parent wishes to challenge Handmaid's Tale, let them. The proper procedure should be followed before any book is removed. Stop making removal decisions based on singular complaints from people who likely haven't read the book in its entirety in the first place. It's time to stop acting out of fear and make decisions in the best interest of our community and our students. Books are not meant to be moral screeds. They are warnings. They are windows into universal truths, and they unite us in shared experiences. Books are meant to challenge and expand our thinking, not simply reaffirm what we already believe to be true. Along with my remarks tonight, I am presenting a petition signed by community members who believe MISD libraries should reflect our shared values. My message is clear. Stop making decisions out of fear. Bring parents into the decision-making as per the law. I urge you to put the books back and allow either a SLAC or a library committee to oversee and guide removal decisions that authentically considers the values of our McAllen families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Mr. Luis Garza.
Members of the McAllen ISD Board, thank you for your time. I'm here because the district switch from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas to United Healthcare isn't just a line on a spreadsheet. It's a real change that will affect our teachers, staff, and their families, especially those managing chronic or pre-existing conditions. United Healthcare Group is currently the focus of federal, criminal, and civil probes into its Medicare practices, which has raised serious questions about the company's billing and coverage behaviors. This can be found in Reuters and the Wall Street Journal. I have the citations and the sources if you all need that. We've also seen lawsuits and settlements alleging improper denials of claims. For example, a recent settlement tied to thousands of denied provider claims, a class actions about denied coverage that are still moving through the court. Those are not abstract headlines. They translate directly into delayed care, surprise bills, and emotional and financial strain on families. There are real stories of patients and families whose care was cut on or appeals exhausted while they were still in need. Outcomes that should alarm any district that cares for its employees' well-being. Before the vote, I sent emails to board members outlining United Healthcare's troubling past. Only one board member replied to acknowledge receipt. The rest did not even confirm that they received my concerns before casting a vote in favor of this change. That silence is deeply concerning. Switching third-party providers can save money, but only if the savings don't come at the cost of access to care. That's why I respectfully ask for three things. That the school board review whether McAllen ISD's administration's evaluation committee fairly considered United Healthcare's well-documented legal and ethical issues. And I ask plainly, did the board know about these troubling records before voting to approve the switch? That safeguards are put in place to guarantee continuity of care and strong appeals process protections for those already in treatment, and that our district commit to regularly reviewing the provider's performance and impact on employees. Our educators and their families should never have to sacrifice health and stability for the sake of cost savings. The board must ensure that cost savings never outweigh the duty to protect the health and dignity of the very people who make this district thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Okay, and now we have Leanne Tognetti. All right. No. Okay. Okay. Moving on, we have number 5, consent agenda items. 5A, discussion and possible action on First Amendment to Memorandum of Understanding number 2025-149, Educational Public Purposes with McAllen Education Foundation Board of Directors. Dr. Gutierrez.
The First Amendment to the Memorandum of Agreement allows McAllen Education Foundation Board of Directors and the district to extend the term for continued partnership. Mr. Ball, our legal counsel, is available to answer any questions. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Peña and a second by trustee Regalado. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 5B, discussion and possible action on interlocal cooperation contract number 2026-051, Texas Work Study Mentorship Program. Dr. Gutierrez.
This interlocal cooperation contract will assist in the implementation of the Texas Work Study Student Mentorship Program, collegiate G-Force mentorship at our high schools. Ms. Cabrera, our Director of College Career and Counseling, is available to answer any questions, and we are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Peña, a second by trustee Dr. Kittleman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item number 6, instructional services, 6A, instructional services, instructional leadership items. 6A1, report on the 2025-26 pre-kinder and kindergarten camp. Dr. Gutierrez.
This evening, we have Ms. Jeanette Nino, our Associate Superintendent for Instructional Leadership, giving us a report regarding the 2025-2026 pre-kindergarten and kindergarten camps that we had right before the start of the school year. And this is for information purposes only. And let me turn it over to Ms. Nino.
Yes, thank you. As always, we like to share what is going on in our elementary schools and just our efforts collectively as an entire elementary team across our district. And so the 2025-2026 was the second year we offered for our students and also to welcome our parents and families just for a day of focus around them for pre-K and kindergartner students. So with that, our students across all 18 schools that did participate got a t-shirt and a bag of supplies, as well as our F&P partners at DQ also provided treats and a ticket to an MISD football game of choice with an adult pass as well. So with that, our next slide just shows how the efforts from everyone across all of our 18 schools, our staff, our principals, our families have really helped to just join efforts to ensure that our enrollment also shows that upcoming trend, especially looking after our post-COVID years and kind of returning to a first full year back to school. So again, just having some data to show and support the efforts of our pre-K and kinder camps. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our principal from Victor Fields Elementary, just to provide a brief narrative on what the experience looks like at the campus. And we'll be joined by our kinder teacher, Miss Maria Elena Llanos, and parents of Zoe Casas, who attends kindergartner at Victor Fields, Mark and Vanessa Casas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We want to speak briefly about our pre-K and kinder camps and just the impact that it plays on the start of our school year. And so the first experience of school overall is really important, not just for our kids, but for our families as well. That gives us the opportunity to meet our families in a setting that's comfortable, that gives us time to interact with them, and it allows us to be able to build that relationship and, most importantly, to start building trust with our families. It provides reassurance to our families who are giving us their babies on that very first day of school, who have never entrusted school to the care of their child. So it builds reassurance, and it sets the foundation for that partnership that will continue throughout the year. It helps ease the anxiety for our kids, and most definitely also for the people that love and care about them, right? So Ms. Llanos is going to just speak briefly about the experience from a teacher's perspective, right? What it means to be able to have that opportunity with our families.
Good afternoon. We had a great turnout at Victor Fields. So we had several parents join us. We did share the expectations for their kindergarten journey at Victor Fields, and also answer any questions they had to give them that ease of trusting with their children. So I had the pleasure to meet Mr. Casas and Ms. Casas, and of course my student Zoe. So
Hi, Zoe.
Can Zoe tell us if she likes school? It's a mixed bag.
That was close.
You've been happy to meet Zoe? Yes. You want to say something?
No.
You have to. You want Mom to say something? Yes? Okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. To say that I was a little apprehensive about sending Zoe to school is an understatement. I was very nervous, but once we got to Fields, I mean, all of the staff was on point. They were everywhere. You know, we needed them to be as far as greeting us. Any questions we had, if we didn't know Zoe's teacher right away, so somebody was there to tell us where to go. They walked us to a room and answered any questions that we had. And so it was just a really great experience. I left knowing that she was going to be okay, which was what I was looking for, because I was just so nervous for her. And then she came home the first day of school, and she was so excited, and I felt at ease, and I knew she was going to be okay. And every day she still comes home so excited coming from school, but also looking forward to going back the next day. She actually happened to be out Friday, and she was like, can I go back to school, like, after going from the doctor, or coming home from the doctor? And we had to keep her home because she had a fever, but she was so excited to go back to school yesterday. So it's been a great experience for us and for her. So yes.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Now
job,
for
Zoe.
Dad.
I mean, they said it all. We were very, very nervous as parents. You know, this is our only child. And I think we shed more tears dropping her off because she was excited. And now
She's smart.
I would get joy from walking her to the front of the building and giving it to the staff. And now she's like, no, Dad, car drop off. That's how excited she is to go to school. And I mean, Ms. Treadler's done an awesome job at Fields. Working at Travis, I get a lot of the Fields students. And we see the change. We see the change going, and we're excited that she's at Fields, and she's going to be a product of McAllen ISD.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep
Thank
up
you.
the good work, Zoe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now we are on 6A2, report regarding emergent bilingual student population. Dr. Gutierrez.
Administration will provide a report on the number of emergent bilingual students at each campus in order to meet the Texas Education Code 29.053. And Section B is a requirement. Ms. Nava, our Director of Bilingual ESL, will have more information on this, and this is for information purposes only. Go ahead, Ms. Nava.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. President, Dr. Gutierrez, and Board of Trustees. My name is Rocio Nava, Director for Bilingual ESL and Foreign Languages Department. So as Dr. Gutierrez was explaining, as part of Texas Education Code, Chapter 29.053, as for the language proficiency assessment committees from the district to determine and report the number of emergent bilingual students at each campus. And we have here with the first slide, we have here our elementary campuses. Starting with our elementary campuses, we have the total campus population in the first column. In the second column, we have the approximate number of emergent bilingual students by campus. And in the last column, we can see the percentage of the total campus population representative of our emergent bilingual students. In the next slide, we have our middle school and our high school campuses. Now, these numbers are preliminary since the initial identification process for our emergent bilingual students from the beginning of the school year would not be finalized until September 11. However, complying with Texas Education Code, we have to report it within the first 4 weeks of the start of the school year. So, and then last slide, we have a graph representing our total district population. And in our district, at the moment that this data was pulled, we had 5,326 emergent bilingual students, which represents 28% of our total district population. And this represents a decline of about 5 percentage points from the previous year. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, 6B1, report regarding update on personal electronic devices. Dr. Gutierrez.
With the passage of House Bill 1481, all Texas public school districts are now required to prohibit students the use of personal electronic communication devices during the instructional day. Tonight, we are presenting a report on how our district has implemented and the results of complying with this new requirement since we are about 4 weeks into the school year. Dr. Camacho is our Director of Human Resources, will present on this report, and this is also for information purposes only. Dr. Camacho.
Good evening, Dr. Gutierrez, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you an update on policy FNCE and how our district is doing with complying with this new state law. If I can just have the PowerPoint projected. We have a brief update for you. Back in August, we did bring this policy to the board, and we were discussing what was going to be the process in place for our district. And so the purpose of tonight's PowerPoint is just to give you an update with where we are. We were able to collect data from all campuses, elementary to high school, for the first 2 weeks of school. And so the data we provided for you and the update we provided is those 2 weeks of school. Now, you'll notice behind me, I do have our campus behavior coordinators with us. I would love for them to give us an update with just how it's been these first 4 weeks of school. So you will hear from each one of them. We do have an elementary representative, a middle school representative, as well as a high school. But just a quick reminder on what is House Bill 1481. We know this is a state law that went into effect September 1st. I will tell you, though, McAllen ISD implemented this August 14th. So the first day when students came back, our schools were enforcing this already, and we didn't know what to expect from students. I will tell you that when the state adopted this law, it was with the intention to focus learning, to reduce distractions, and teachers and staff have seen exactly that. We've gotten positive feedback from staff members, great feedback from administrators. We're happy to report that our students, for the most part, have been very compliant with this state law, and that just speaks volumes of the communication from our district to the community, communication from the campus to the parents. And we are so proud of our students. You know, we weren't sure, especially at the secondary level, how they would do, and we're happy to report that they have adjusted just fine. There is a process in place which we'll go over when students violate this policy and this state law. And so we've been able to collect data on that as well. But I want to talk to you about what those numbers look like for the first 2 weeks of school. So we can go to the next slide. Again, this is first 2 weeks of school from August 14th until I believe the 28th or the 29th. You'll see for the high school, 423 telecommunication devices were collected. Now, when you look at a population of over 6,000 students at a high school, you'll see that 423 is not too many. Now, it doesn't mean that 423 were given a consequence, right? The next slide, you'll see what is the process when a student violates the policy or the state law. 423 devices were collected, but it could be that it was a first warning or maybe the second warning that they were given. You'll see at the middle school, we have 47 devices that were picked up during the first 2 weeks of school, and elementary, we have 7. So at this time, I would like you to hear from elementary, middle school, and high school campus behavior coordinators just to see what have they seen at their campuses in respect to House Bill 1481. So I'm going to start with elementary first, and I have Mr. Nevares first.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? None of those 7 were mine. We just picked up our first one today. Overall, it's been going really smoothly. It's been almost the same as we did last year. The procedures that were in place by the board were almost spot on to what we already had at the elementary. So for us, very little interruption. It's been really smooth. Parents are very supportive. They understand why we're doing it. And so far, everything's been going great in the elementaries.
So when you say devices, has it just mainly been phones, or have we
just cell phones,
watches, or?
Well, this covers everything, of course, but it's just the cell phones is mainly what they have that's in the elementaries.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Mr. Maupin, Morris Middle School. Looking at, the graph going 7 to 47 at the middle school, as the kids say, that tracks. As they start getting into secondary, they start using their devices a lot more. With over a population of over 1,000 students at Morris, really a vast majority of any pickups of cellular devices, really, it's been cell phones, came within those first 2 weeks, and it was around 15, but less individuals. Many times it's coming from a student who has their phone put away but did not turn it off. Or they are moving from class to class and it falls out of a bag. Parents are super supportive, the kids, the teachers are super supportive and on board. Our students are talking to one another. Especially during lunch, right? Lunch, they're putting away their Chromebooks, even those devices, and they're actually sitting face to face and having conversations. I have students coming up to me, Maupin, you talk a lot, but man, this guy over here, he can hold a conversation. Not those exact words, they're using a lot more slang. But they're actually having conversations with each other. They're having to break down those walls and those barriers. And it really truly is a beautiful thing. Whenever students if a phone is picked up, they're deterred from doing it again. They know once that it gets picked up, they got to pick it up at the end of the day. That was kind of our go-to in the past, and now that second time, parents they don't want mom or dad to come pick it up. No, the best is when grandma comes and picks it up. Those are the best ones. But overall, it's been great, working well. The process is smooth. We've taken it out of the hands of our teachers, and they haven't them turn it into our front office and kind of work the process through there, so they're not losing instructional time as well.
Mr. Maupin, I have a question. So the first time it gets picked up, that y'all just give it back at the end and the parents aren't notified? Or?
So whenever
I'm asking for my own personal.
Yeah. So,
asking for herself.
Asking for a friend.
When a phone is picked up the first time, the parent is notified. Oh, okay. So let's say they go to their RLA class. Phone is discovered, students on the phone, whatever it may be. Teacher picks it up, turns it into the front office. Front office, we have our system in place where it's documented into the DDF. Parent is contacted with the first one. Even though the child is still able to pick it up at the end of the day, the parent is still notified.
Okay. Mine just voluntarily said I'm not even bringing it, and so I was wondering to myself, I wonder if he got in trouble, but I guess not. Thank you.
Yes, of course, thank you.
But he does even talk more now, even in the car, because he leaves it at home, so he's not on it on the way, so at least we have a conversation about school.
I will say, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Come on in. That's fine. Take one.
I will say this is kind of anecdotal, but I have seen a decrease in social media occurrences and reports, because typically in the first 2 weeks of school, we get a lot of social media reports of, oh, they're posting me or they did this. I have seen a decrease in that. Don't know correlation in there, but that is something that I have seen.
Yeah, I can relate with that. Yeah. So, good evening, Superintendent Dr. Gutierrez, President, Mr. Rivera, and Board of Trustees. So I want to share with you the cell phone ban policy that we put together over at McAllen Memorial High School. So the purpose of the policy at McAllen Memorial High School is to promote a focused learning environment free from digital distractions, encourage students to engage more deeply in instruction and peer interactions, ensure equity and consistency across the district. So I want to share some of the numbers with you all. On Friday, we closed out the day with about a population of about 2,010, okay? From that, 93% of the students have not been involved in any of these offenses at all whatsoever, considering that we have approved by the board the 4 offenses that are involved, right? The first time, when we see it, we seize it, and then we give it back to the student at the end of the day. And then the second one, where we see it, we seize it, but now the parents have to come pick it up at the end of the day, right? And then the third one, just a friendly reminder, that we see it, we seize it, parent picks it up, but now the student faces lunch detention, right? And then the fourth one, where we see it, we seize it, parent picks it up at the end of the day, but now the student has to face some kind of suspension, which is in-school suspension for 3 days. So with those 4 offenses in mind, keep this in mind, that 93% of our student population has not been involved in any of these offenses at all whatsoever. But proud to say that out of the 2010, we've only collected 138 students, 138 devices for first-time offenders. So that's about 6.3% of our total population, considering one of the comprehensive high schools, one of the biggest comprehensive high schools here in McAllen. For second offenses, we've only picked up 21. It has decreased drastically. 21 students are second-time offenders picked up, which is 1% of that population. From there, we go to the third-time offenders. So for the third-time offenders, believe it or not, we've only picked up 3 devices from 3 students that are now third offenders, which is 0.1% of the 2010 population that we had on Friday when we closed the business day. And out of the 4th offenses that were involved, there was only 1 student that was a repeater. We picked up the phone, which makes it a 0.05% of the total population that was picked up on devices. A couple of positive takeaways on that. The overwhelming majority of students, more than 9 out of 10 students, have followed expectations consistently. For those who did receive a consequence, almost all corrected behavior after the first reminder. A couple of key observations at McAllen Memorial High School. Early correction works. Most students change behavior after the first warning. One of the habits that we have created at McAllen Memorial High School since we started day 1 is at 8:05, the campus principal gets on to the announcement and he starts letting them know what kind of day we're going to have, a productive day at school, and reminding all students to put their cell phones away. So it's kind of courtesy heads up, letting them know. We don't see it as a first warning. It's a general message and it goes on daily. We don't steer away from that. That has helped us tremendously when it's time for 8:15 for students to be in first period and execute with instruction. We don't see any distractions at all whatsoever when it comes to cell phones, and we're very grateful and thankful to that message. So parent partnership is very powerful as well. The offenses have dropped sharply once families are involved. Accountability with support. The escalation model is very fair. Thank you, board, for approving as you did. It gives students multiple chances to improve. And I'd like to close this message with, this policy is not about punishment, but it's about creating the best environment for learning. The data shows that students are responding positively, and we are making real progress thanks to dedication of our district, staff, and families. So, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just a couple more slides, and I know a lot has been said already, but if we can go to the next slide. So what you'll see at the campuses it's a little different is the method and process for collecting and distributing devices. That will differ from campus to campus depending on their needs. What is consistent is the disciplinary action and the process we follow when students violate this policy. I know Mr. Canales over at Memorial went over these 4 offenses with you. But when it comes to disciplinary action, as a district, we're consistent with this, what you see on the screen. First offense, it is picked up. Students are able to pick that up at the end of the day, but it is documented on a discipline documentation form. Pretty much, it gives students a warning. It gives them a warning and an opportunity to correct this behavior. The second offense, again, the device is picked up, documented on the DDF, which is a discipline documentation form, and parents pick it up. Third offense, same thing, but now it's documented on a referral, and it is also picked up by the parent at the end of the day. By the fourth offense, it becomes more of a non-compliance with this state law, and students understand that if it gets to the fourth offense after them being directed and corrected, then it will be 3 days of in-school suspension. So what you see on the screen is being consistently applied across the district at all campuses. What does vary, like I mentioned, is their process for collecting and distributing devices at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to House Bill 1481, there are exceptions. As we discussed earlier in August, there are exceptions to students that have IEPs, individualized educational accommodation plans, or 504 plans, or any other plan similar to that, such as perhaps an RTI plan. There are other exceptions where students might have some kind of medical condition that requires them to have their device. And so with us today, I have Ms. Elizondo, our Executive Director for Special Education, that will give the board an update with exceptions that have been brought to our attention. Ms. Elizondo?
Good evening, everybody. So for special education and the Regional Day School Program for the Deaf, we have had a total of 20 requests. And those 20 requests can be a cell phone, smartwatch, the use of their personal laptop, wireless earbuds, and other devices like a tracking device. So those are the requests we've had. We have a process wherever there's a request from a parent or a student, we make sure that we have a staffing and we find out the why. What are they needing it for? Academic, medical. Then we try to come up with solutions, alternatives for those uses. We do have an ARD meeting. We discuss the alternatives with the parent, and we bring in the student to ensure that they're okay with that alternative. And then we move forward and make a decision on, okay, are they going to be able to use their personal device, or is the alternative or the solution that the district is offering okay to proceed? And so for most part, we've been successful with the alternative and the solutions and the compromising with the staff and the parents. And then there's some cases where there is an academic need, there is a medical need, and it's okay. So we move forward with providing that personal device use. That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to conclude, I know that was the end of our presentation, but it's all in how we communicated. And from the very beginning of school, first day of school, August 14th, we've told students we want to maximize the time that we have with you here at school. We want to make sure that we're focused when we're here, and we want to make sure that we're minimizing distractions. And so when we're talking about that to students, they get it. They understand that we want them to learn, we want them to be successful, and we don't want them distracted. And so for all of our parents listening and our students as well, we're proud of them. We want to thank our parents for all of their support and assistance our campuses, enforcing this state law, and we want to thank our board, Dr. Gutierrez, for also the communication from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for that report.
And now we are on 6B2, discussion and possible action on McAllen Independent School District Policy EFB Local. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, MISD Policy EFB Local addresses the decision to opt out of the School Library Advisory Council. The TASB, the Texas Association of School Board, has recommended a new version of our policy that incorporates the necessary revisions and aligns with the district's current direction regarding library governance. I know I have Ms. Vega here. Before there's any action on this item, how we're going to approach it based on what information we're getting from staff and community members. And so I'll let Ms. Vega also give us her presentation and see what the board wants to do from here.
So I don't have a presentation, but I did have a meeting with Mr. Vidal and, I did have a meeting with Mr. Vidal, and he had some questions that he said, I'd like for everyone to hear these answers so that you'll have some background about why we had some parents come in. So I'll let you start.
Thank you. Haddad, by the way.
Okay.
No, but thank you, Ann. I've spent a lot of time with you on the phone, in person, text, just discussing this policy, clarifying a lot of things. And as you said, I thought it'd be really beneficial for us to have a conversation. And I know you and I discussed a lot of things, but to have me ask you questions, to have it out in the public realm, so our community members, teachers, students, parents understand what we're doing in response to SB 13 and HB 900. So in response to these two bills that the legislature passed, librarians have undertaken a review of books in the school's libraries. Can you please tell me how this review was conducted?
Okay, so the first thing we did, we separated our elementary and secondary librarians. We had vendors come in to help us look for certain tags. And what we did is we put those tags in and it would flag books for us. We made a list of all of those books that were flagged, and then we had to review each one by one. Elementary, a lot of these books had already been read, so they kind of knew, like, no, this has nothing bad in it. But for when we get to the higher grades, like for secondary, we found that, you know, you might have 200, 300 books on that list. We haven't read them all, so we did use AI, and that's one of your other questions. So, but we did review each book one by one after it was flagged, and then had to determine whether it was compliant or not compliant.
And so when you used AI, that was kind of a sorting mechanism to flag books that
No, it wasn't a sorting mechanism. We identified books that were flagged, and then we had to use AI for books that we hadn't read personally to determine whether it was compliant or not.
So the flag was done by the librarians, by a
Yes.
person?
Yes.
And then AI was used to help with books?
To help us, yes, sir.
And then, but the ultimate determination?
Was made by a group of librarians.
And it wasn't just purely relied on AI?
Oh, no.
Librarians,
No, sir.
you know, at least take some review of each book?
Right. And I know a lot of people think, okay, like, what does AI know? Well, the prompt that we put in was consistent, and it was using Texas House Bill 900, SB 13 legislation, and the Miller method, find reviews and documentation on whether the following book is compliant. If yes, add a synopsis. If not, detail why it is not compliant. In column 1, list the title. Column 2, put the author. Column 3, whether the book is compliant or not. And in column 4, a detailed synopsis or reasoning why the book is not compliant. And so that's what you have in front of you. That's the type of prompt we were using and the responses that we were getting.
Were there any AI responses that flagged the book as non-compliant with SB 13 and HB 19 in which librarians determined that they did not agree with the AI?
Okay, repeat that.
So if the AI came back and said, my mind went blank, but the Little Red Dog book, that's non-compliant with SB 19, with the legislation.
Okay.
Were there any books that the AI said is non-compliant, which then the librarians reviewed and said, no, we believe this is compliant?
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Because I think a lot of the books that might be flagged as inappropriate, but if we ourselves have read it and we're like, wait, this is completely appropriate. So we had to make judgment calls on some of the books, but AI is pretty on target for a lot of those. We had to go back and add that Miller method because a lot of books would come back. Like if I put Kite Runner in there just with SB 900 and HB 900 and SB 13, it's going to come back flagged because it does have a sexual assault in there. However, when you use the Miller method, and that evaluates books, that's what at the highest court, they use that to determine the value of the book. What is the message of the book? Is the overarching thing something that is beneficial? And so when you put that Miller method in there, then Kite Runner comes back as, yes, it is compliant because it does have that component. Like the other book that we discussed, Handmaid's Tale does not have that component when it comes back with that information.
Well, so I want to clarify, the kite runner has not been removed from
No,
library shelves?
Kite Runner was not. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, no. Now, class sets were taken, instructional materials were taken and put in the closet for teachers to use. However, if all of our campuses still have Kite Runner in the library.
Okay. And you brought up Handmaid's Tale. I think that's a good book to focus on because of its themes, and it does have, I guess it's overarching political themes, but it has some ritualized rape, I believe is
Right, and I know she brought that one up, but one of the things, and when we put that through AI, it comes back as not having that Miller method advantage, but I also, when I look at the legislation, SB 13-2A states, prohibits the possession, that means you can't have it in your library, the acquisition, you can't buy it, and the purchase of, again, can't be purchased by the district if it has A, harmful material, or B, the library material rated sexually explicit by the selling material vendor. And it is labeled as explicit and adult themed.
by the vendor.
By the vendor. So we look at that as well. Because if I'm reading that right, I don't know, Mr. Ball, but if I'm reading that right, because I know she's like, well, you shouldn't be taking books off, but I read this as we can't have it in possession in the library.
The short answer is yes, that's exactly how I take it. While I agree with the folks that were making comments during the public comments portion of it, we're grappling with this as we go. This is a brand new bill. We're trying to sort this out as best we can as we go along. Ms. Vega, I was not aware until now that she was using AI the way that she was using it. However, I applaud what she is doing, in particular that she took the time to research the Miller method or the Miller standard and plug that in to find out whether AI at least can give us some guidance as to whether, based upon the community standards, it would apply, or we'd be able to have the books in our library. But I agree with what she is saying. If it is found to be adult material by the vendor that is selling it, we can't have it. That's probably much longer than you wanted to say. I just wanted to applaud you for that.
And John, there's some confusion. Are those vendor ratings currently active, or is there an injunction against them? And joining the, I guess, requirement that they put those ratings on the books?
If there is an injunction, I am not aware of one, and I will say that I do my best to stay up on all of that sort of case law that is going on out there. I'm going to have to take a playbook out of what one of the judges recently said, which is the landscape right now of what is going on in the country as far as the case law, what is going on as far as litigation is rapidly evolving, and we are at a point where a judge in the Western District of Texas can find that something should be, or that entities should be enjoined from doing something or not doing something, and that doesn't apply to us. So is there one that is applicable to South Texas right now? I haven't seen it. If somebody knows otherwise, I'm happy to hear about it, but I haven't seen it.
And I think this line of questioning helps us. Can you describe the standards you use in reviewing books? I guess what I'm asking is,
so
SB 13 requires you to look at what?
So we have to look at profanity. We have to look, well, I'll tell you exactly, because I have all my notes. So between HB 900 and SB 13, we have to look at obscene language. We have to look at horror, extreme shock, disgust, violence, abuse, damage, killing someone, or glorification of weapons. We have to look at bullying, drug or alcohol use by minors. We have to look at glorification of suicide, self-harm, and We have to look at depictions of the human body. We have to look at, sexual desire, all of that.
And then how many books have been moved from an elementary to a middle school or a middle school to a high school?
Okay, and I made some copies, and what we did was look at books that elementary librarians, they might, when they looked up some of this information, it just said young adult. In other words, the vendor is saying this is appropriate for a young adult, so it should be in a middle school, not at an elementary campus. So those books, which is pretty much your elementary list, there was nothing that was profane, vulgar, that type of thing. Those books just need to be moved to middle school. So out of the 18 campuses, 213 of those books need to be moved to middle school. And from middle school to high school, of our 6 high schools, looking at the same information, it would be the type of book that says mature, better suited for high school, age range 15 to 17, that kind of thing. Those are 265 books within those 6 campuses that would be moved from middle school to high school. We're not that far yet. I mean, but when we get to the point where it's time to get those sent off, and then those that are permanently removed because of the profanity, the sex, all that, those are in total 92 books.
92 titles or books?
92 titles.
Titles. So a total of 92 titles have been banned.
What we
from our
found
library.
had the elements of HB 900, SB 13, and should not be on a K through 12 campus.
Okay. And then how far along in the review process are you?
So I went back through all of our spreadsheets, our working spreadsheets, and all grade levels. I was thinking high school still had some that they were reviewing, but all their books have been reviewed. All of middle schools have been reviewed, and all of elementary up to this point.
So you don't expect any more necessarily a large number of titles to be removed?
I do not. Now, again, like, there's 485,000 books. So could there be a book out there that a parent says, how did we not catch that? I'm sure there's a possibility.
And then I think previously in one of our conversations, you told me there was 500 titles removed. Now we're at 92.
Well,
what was the discrepancy there?
The 500 titles were removed at that
Shuffled
campus.
or moved?
But we're going to,
Okay.
in other words, we're not going
They're not banned.
to throw them away. We're going to just put them at a more appropriate grade level.
Okay. And then I know parents brought up some books up to us. Harry Potter. Did we ban or move Harry Potter?
No. I'm going to be completely honest. I have one library where she says she wants to review them because books 4, 5, and 6 say mature. That's probably something we need to write in policy because one of the caveats is I told the 18 elementary librarians is we all need to agree. If everybody agrees that these are completely appropriate for elementary campus, I can't have one campus that says no. So she hasn't removed them. She's reviewing them. So that's something that I'll work with Albert to put in our local policy so that she's aware that if 17 other librarians, well, now it'll be a SLAC, if the SLAC deems that Harry Potter is okay for an elementary campus, then they should all agree on that.
And then sorry, go ahead. Just one more book. Wings of Fire, Darkness of Dragons. You know, a parent brought up that they were very disappointed that this book was no longer available. Gonzalez, when you and I looked into it, it was checked out, but
right.
it was
So it's
still in the catalog.
available. It's just, it's checked out until a later date. Okay. There's only one copy.
I am wondering, thinking about the public comment that we had earlier, why maybe we should consider a school library advisory committee. Because like you said, this example of this librarian in elementary, you know, really trying to
Right.
decide if we had like an outside
Right. And so realistically, with the petition that you have in your hands, legislation says that a petition has to have either 10% of your population or 50, I don't know why the discrepancy, whichever's greater. So, and I mean, whichever, in other words, I checked with Region 1, if she has at least 50 signatures, then a SLAC will have to happen. And she does, if I'm not mistaken.
And we need the petition, like, the board can't just suggest that we...
Well, I know when Albert spoke to me, one of the reasoning behind not doing a SLAC is right now in the state of Texas, there are 2,124 districts, and there's only 14 districts that chose to have a SLAC, and those are like your very conservative districts, probably for the reason opposite of what she wants. Because what happens with a SLAC is each board member chooses one parent, can't be a school employee, so it can't be a teacher, it can't be a librarian. So those 7 parents would be the voice of the community. So they would make that decision about whether they want a book on the shelf or not. Now, a board member can appoint an equal number. So they might say, okay, we're each going to appoint 2 people, 2 community members, or it's got to be one parent who's not affiliated with McAllen ISD. If you choose to do more than 7, then the other person of choice can be anyone. It can be a community member, it could be a teacher, it could be a librarian, it could be someone that has to live in McAllen, right? Basically, a community member.
So, Ms. Vega?
Yes, sir.
So the school library advisory committee, do we not have a choice anymore because she gathered over 50 signatures? Does that mean that we don't have a choice, that we have to have one?
Right, we don't have a choice anymore.
Okay, so how does that impact now a second reading for our?
So this second reading was because TASB sent us an updated, they sent us a policy where we didn't have a SLAC, but there's no use passing it if we're going to end up having one. So we probably should go with their very first recommendation and then see if there's anything that needs to change from there.
Policy on formation of SLAC.
I mean, we could pass it, but it's basically the SLAC is going to you'd have to redo it anyway.
So then it's better just we can recommend table it because we have to look at those, now that she gathered 50 signatures, that we may not have a choice, and contact TASB and see what kind of language we need to have. John, what do you think?
I think that's the best thing to do. You guys can certainly do that, but it strikes me as an exercise of futility at this point.
Yeah, because there are the signatures, and if that's what it says, then I think it's going to have to be moving in that direction.
Right.
I just had one comment, Ms. Vega.
Yes, sir.
First, thank you so much for all of the effort. I know that you've been toiling away for a long time, trying to get everything in line super quickly after this legislation. And to that point, I'm curious, how is a SLAC to know even where to begin? Is it really just they can come with a list of books they don't want?
Well, so when I reached out to Region 1, so what we would have to create some policies for the SLAC. Like, there's going to be a chairman that I know. How often will they meet? We'll have to give them a process of how to review those books. And I know when I met with Miss Vidal, is it Vidal? She had mentioned, like, well, every book on there should be read. Well, I mean, if you look at our September list, there's 400 books. And that's every month. We're going to be posting books that we would like to purchase. So I don't know how that's going to work. It's definitely going to bottleneck because they have to review those books as well as the community. And as long as nothing is challenged, if they look at it and there's no challenge, then they come that SLAC committee comes to the board, makes the recommendation, and then the board would either say yes or no.
This vendor flag that you talked about initially, does that, I assume there's different vendors for any one given title, right?
Yes.
So are those universal?
So it's a vendor, but all of the vendors that we purchase from have sets of tags. If we buy from Follett, they have tags. If we buy from Bound to Stay Bound, they will have tags. Some are not up to date yet, but once we upload all that stuff now, pretty much Follett's making all these tags because they're our cataloging system. But everybody that we purchase from now, they're required to have all of that ready for us. Like right now, when you get on the proposed acquisition list, one of the things that we've learned is you cannot, if you purchase a book, the ISBN has to be something that you already have, or the ISBN, if it's new, has to be passed by the SLAC, that SLAC committee. It should have reviews, right? So it should say the appropriate age that this book is for, and then go from there. That way because it used to be we would buy from a vendor and they didn't have tags. So that's why I'm saying, like, is there a book out there that could possibly come up? I'm sure there is, because there may not have the proper tags on there. So moving forward, we know that all of that has to be submitted so that we're complying with that thing. They want to make sure that vendors are doing their part and that we're doing our part by researching to make sure that if I'm purchasing a book for elementary, it fits within that elementary range.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
Yes.
Can someone please make sure Ms. Vega has coffee and snacks? And with that said,
It's happy hour.
Can I make a motion to table this item? You've got a
Hold
lot
on,
of
I
work
got-
to do. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Can I make
yes.
one more
Oh.
comment? Because I think, and Ms. Vega, you and I discussed this.
Okay.
I think transparency here is key, because, the thought of censoring or banning books is anathema to this, to our Constitution, to this country, but we do have to comply with the law. I urge us, the list that we're looking, the books that are being banned, I think that needs to be published on a website.
Okay.
Or, just like you're putting up the list of 30 days.
Right. Would it
and
be
I defer
okay
to
if I just
administration
put the
on that.
ones that were officially moving off, not moving, or do you want the whole list?
I think it would be good, the full list, but it has to be, we had a lot of questions, right, about, well, what
Okay.
does that mean? Does that mean it's banned or it's moved? So it has to be clear.
Okay, so what I did was I color-coded it, so I can put it on the library website. If it's in pink, it's being moved to the next grade, and if it's in purple, it's being removed permanently, unless the SLAC goes through there and deems that they want to keep it for whatever reason. And I mean, if that's okay, I can definitely do that. Yes, okay.
I think that'll help a lot, quell a lot
Okay.
of questions in the community.
Okay.
I have one question to
Yes.
follow up on that. So you mentioned, say the SLAC decides they want to keep something, and then that comes to the board for us to approve to keep it.
Yes.
So we're gonna need a lot of snacks to read all these books. How many snacks?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of reading, because we're gonna
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
know as well.
Would they do the Spark
Book
books?
club. School
Yeah,
board book
and
club.
I would recommend that when
Yes.
you find a parent, that whoever you choose, ideally it would be someone that has time if they feel like they want to read, like they're gonna need time to kind of review all this. And if you go with the extra person to make it 14, I would look at, some teachers, librarians, community members. The one thing to remember is the 7 parents are the voting members. You can have other people on there, but they can't vote.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much, and thank you for the questions. We do have a motion on the.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor? We have a
Aye.
second. Okay, all those opposed? Motion table passes 6-0. 6B3, discussion of Texas Association of School Board Localized Policy Manual Update 125. This is the first reading, Dr.
This is presented from TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, and reviewed by our staff. This update represents legal and local reference policies recently adopted by the state. Administration is presenting this item as a first reading. Dr. Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer, will have more information about this. If you have any questions, we are recommending action on this item.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Pena, a second by trustee Kittleman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 6C1, discussion and possible action on participation of MISD students in the Nutcracker.
Yes, we are asking that our McAllen ISD students who participate in the production of the Nutcracker be counted present during the rehearsals and performances on school days. Ms. Loya will answer any questions if you have any questions on this item, and we are recommending action on this item as well.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Pena. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 6C2, discussion possible action regarding McAllen High School Boys Basketball Booster Club donation for a 16-foot pro LED scores table. Dr. Gutierrez.
The McAllen High School Boys Basketball Booster Club will donate $16,800 for a 16-foot pro LED score table that would serve as a central location for game management. Mr. McClenny, our Director of Athletics, is available to answer any questions. We are recommending action on this item.
Okay, board.
Enthusiastically move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Regalado and a second by trustee De La Garza. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Yes,
It's going to look great. Can't wait to see it.
Much needed.
Moving forward, discussion possible action on the resolution to the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District identifying hazardous traffic conditions. Dr. Gutierrez.
Districts are required to report hazardous area conditions within a 2-mile area that require transportation to be provided for students. Mr. Barnhart, Director of Transportation, is available to answer any questions. We are recommending action on this item as well.
Okay, board. Or
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Pena. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. And 6D, Board of Trustee items. Approval of Board of Education meeting minutes for the regular meeting August 12th, 2025, special board meeting August 21st, 2025. May I have a motion?
All motion.
I have a motion by trustee Haddad,
Second.
second by trustee Pena. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 6D2, discussion possible action to approve the 2025-26 superintendent performance goals. Dr. Gutierrez.
Recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
I have
Second.
a motion by trustee Regalado and a second by trustee Pena. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, we are on recess to closed session. Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following: human resource recommendations and resignations, retirees, discussion of Director of Marketing, discussion of District Emergency Operations Manager, discussion regarding school safety, pending and potential litigation, and possible real estate acquisition. All right. It is 6:33, and we are going into closed session. Thank you, guys. All right, welcome back. It's 7:25 PM, and we are back from executive session, going into reconvening and open. So, action on items in closed session. 9A, discussion and possible action on human resources recommendation for school year 25-26. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources submitted a list of recommendations for the 2025-2026 school year under a separate cover for discussion during closed session. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve?
I have a motion by trustee Peña and a second by trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 9B, discussion of human resources, employee resignations and retirees for school year 24-25. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources submitted a list of resignations and retirees for the 25-26 school year under a separate cover for discussion during closed session, and this item is for information purposes only.
Thank you. 9C, discussion of human resources, employee resignations, retirees for school year 25-26. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources submitted a list of resignations and retirees for the 25-26 school year. Am I on the same? And
Bless you.
under separate cover, and this item is for information purposes only.
Thank you. 9D, discussion possible action of recommendation for Director of Marketing and Communications for 25-26. Dr. Gutierrez.
Administration recommends the approval of Ms. Felicia Villarreal for the position of Director of Marketing and Communications for the 25-26 school year. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Third.
Fourth.
Okay, so I have a motion by trustee Regalado, a second by trustee De La Garza Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations.
Did I get that many recommendations too? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Not bad. You did. You did. 9E, discussion and possible action of District Emergency Operations Manager, Dr. Gutierrez.
Recommendation is that no action on this item.
Okay.
I move that we take no action on this item.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by trustee Peña, second by trustee Haddad. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And 9F, Mr. Ball.
Nothing to report.
9G, 9H.
Same announcement for each.
All right, and we move to adjournment. May I entertain a motion?
So move.
Second. I have a motion by trustee Peña, second by trustee Rivera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. We are out at 7:28 PM. Thank you, guys. Good night.